What's up, guys? So the story I want to bring to you today is the day of Lisa Marie's birth and how Elvis reacted. I find it kind of funny and kind of cute. I think a lot of people would like hearing this story. Now, I came across this story by reading a book called Inside Graceland, Elvis's Maid Remembers. And Elvis's maid was Nancy Rooks, and she came out with the book quite a while ago. But I came across it recently, and I want to share the story with you. So this particular story starts out with Priscilla. Her water broke and she went downstairs and went into Dodger's room, which was kind of surprising to me. Why would you go into Dodger's room? But I guess it was probably, someone she felt comfort in, and that was Elvis's grandmother. So she went there and said, Dodger, I think it's time for me to go to the hospital. Dodger could tell that Priscilla was very nervous, and Dodger says to her, "It's okay, honey. I've been through this 5 times and you'll be fine." So Priscilla goes to sit on the couch, and Elvis and the guys bring down the suitcases to the car. So Nancy, Elvis's maid, goes on to explain that Elvis came back inside to make sure that Priscilla was okay after everything was situated and they were ready to go. Elvis was actually more nervous than Priscilla, as you all know if you know much about Elvis. He had his bout with anxiety a lot. So Elvis, going into Dodger's room for comfort, really, because you think about it, his mom's not there, so he probably didn't go quite to his dad. He went to Dodger. So he went into Dodger's room and kissed her on top of the head, and he starts talking to her and talking. And finally Dodger, realizing how anxious Elvis is, he's like going on, and Dodger has to remind him, "Hey, this is about Priscilla. You got to get her to the hospital, and you better be safe." So Elvis gives her another kiss on the head, and he takes Priscilla from the living room, and they go outside through the front door to one of the waiting cars there in the driveway. And Elvis actually had 2 cars ready to go. And it's actually kind of funny because, just in case one broke down. But, the quality of Elvis's cars, it's highly unlikely that they're going to have car trouble on that particular day. But, Elvis wanted to make sure he was totally prepared. And in all the excitement Elvis driving, he almost went to the wrong hospital. But after they realized, where they were and what was going on, after all the confusion was straightened out, he gets Lisa and Priscilla and the gang to the right hospital, and she was born later that afternoon. Now, Nancy, Elvis's maid, was scheduled to get off at 5 p.m., but she decided to wait around at Graceland to be there when Elvis got back, so she could tell her and the others that were still there everything that happened, because they all wanted to know. It was the most exciting thing at Graceland that's been going on since she's been there, she said. She said that when Lisa was born, it was the whole mood of Graceland changed. And I want to finish up this story and tell you what happened when he got back inside. So all the maids, cooks, everybody who works at Graceland, Dodger, everyone who lived there was waiting at the front door and rushed actually to the front door when they saw Elvis pull up the driveway. So he gets in and he tells them that Lisa was born and that her and Priscilla are doing fine. And actually nobody knew the gender of the baby before, she was born. So they were all surprised that it was a girl. And so Elvis finally got done catching his breath, and he tells everybody of the news of the day, what happened, this and that. And Elvis was just so elated. He told Dodger that he loves his little girl to death, according to Nancy, and that he wants to have a boy next time. Then later, I guess he was just so overflowing with joy that he said that he wanted 20 children. And so Nancy, Elvis's maid, says to him, "Well, you only got 19 more to go." And everybody started laughing. I find this part a little funny, if it's true. Not everything that's in a book is true, I know that. Later on, Nancy told Priscilla what Elvis said about having 20 children. And Priscilla allegedly says, "Well, he'll be the first one to have them because I'm not having any more." And I kind of thought that was funny. So according to this book, Priscilla didn't want to have any more kids. I never actually, in all the, studying, I guess you could say, and learning about Elvis, never did I hear that Priscilla only wanted to have 1 kid. Elvis said he wanted to have a boy and actually 20 more children. Obviously it's an exaggeration, but he was just so elated that he was just, saying everything. But I thought that was interesting, if it's true. So I came across this part here, which kind of sparked me to do this video. I thought it was really funny. So Nancy, she was supposed to get off at 5, but they waited around for Elvis to come back. And before she was about to leave, she asked Elvis if he wanted anything to eat, because she figured that, Elvis hadn't eaten much because he was at the hospital all day and just in a commotion the whole house was. So she asked him if she could make him something to eat. And he says, "Thanks, Nancy, but I'm too excited to eat anything right now." So you can just imagine, what Elvis was going through and the happiness and the feelings that were going on in him that day, from nervousness, the highs, the lows, scared, going to the wrong hospital almost. And so he was, even though he made it back and was finally relaxed, he's just not relaxed enough to eat yet. So concluding the story, it was several days later, Priscilla and Elvis came home with Lisa, and Nancy was off, but she was really excited to get back to Graceland for her next shift so she could see Elvis and the newborn Lisa in the house. And I'm going to leave you here with this clip of Nancy. And I actually didn't know this was her when I was reading this book, but I remember a few interviews she's done in the past, and I want to let you see a little bit of that right now.
He was just hanging around the house. He would go to the swimming pool. I'd go set the pool up for him so he could lay out by the pool. Very seldom he would get out in there and swim. Most of the time he would lay by and listen to the radio and drink a Shasta drink. And sometimes he'd ride the horses around the place. Sometimes he'd ride the motorcycles around the place. Do different little odds, and then sometimes they play tennis, batting the ball over, the net, sometime around the place. But other than that, he would be asleep, I'm gonna tell you.
All right, guys, well, hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. You can hit the notification bell, and that way you're notified every time a new video from Elvis is the Man comes out. Make sure to hit the like button. I hope you enjoyed this. And for those of you who are wondering why I'm talking about this book when you want me to finish the Death of Elvis book, it's coming out about another week, I'd say. I just want to make sure it's right. So we'll talk to you next time, and enjoy the rest of your fall day.